You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 26th meeting of the Michigan City Sanitary Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're going to call the monthly board meeting of the Commissioners of the Sanitary District, regular meeting Wednesday, April 26th, 2023 at 4 p.m. to order. Roll call. Holt?
Present.
Chris?
Present.
Tim?
Present.
And Tim Smith is present, so all board members are present and accounted for. I'll ask for approval of the previous board minutes of March 22nd.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion is approved. So I'm going to ask for public comment at this point. Any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing none, public comment period is closed. Mike, I'm going to turn over the opening of the quotes and bids for the digester cleaning project, item number 5.
Yes, sir.
Don't cut your fingers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Safety message.
Okay, we have
That's right. PSA.
Sanitary Central.
Dan has a Band-Aid back there for you. He's ready.
All right.
First aid kit.
Mr. Meyer? Oh, wait. Sorry. Should have cut that too.
You need to take a remedial letter opening. The first bid is from Synagro.
Terry Meyer, you should find the extended unit rate bid price on the second page of the bid sheet.
Probably will if I find the bid sheet. Which one do you want?
Is it still on the paper?
No. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Not looking at the right spot. There we go, bid forms. The total cost bid is $95,921 even. 95,921 even.
Thank you. Second one is from Merrill Brothers.
I didn't know what I'm getting him for Christmas.
I do too. The next bid is from Merrill Brothers. I misread the previous bid.
You want it back?
Yeah, I'm taking it back.
Just after you had it all nice and neatly tucked back in too.
Yeah, I couldn't. The price did not seem right. Oh, they don't have it in there, I wonder. They didn't fill in the total bid price. But they listed each, there's, excuse me, 4 tanks. And they have cleaned 4 tanks, and there's a separate price for each tank. There's actually a price per gallon, per 1,000 gallons, in it. And the price of the 4 tanks is gonna be, according to this, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 800,000.
Well, that is a little different.
Yeah. Now, Merrill Brothers, put in a total price for cleaning, collecting, dewatering, and hauling and disposing of $497,136.28. 497,136.28. Which is, on the face of it, substantially lower.
Sounds like.
Thank you.
I'd recommend the board have staff review and
That's what I was saying.
verify the,
So do I have a motion to have the board evaluate both proposals and recommend one back to the board?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Dan? Any questions?
Afternoon.
So this month's health and safety report, we have not had any recordable injuries through this report for 67 days. And so we're now across 90 days without a recordable injury.
It's great.
Yep, it's good news. And I have a very, very detailed report here this month, and just wanted to put that before you and ask if there are any questions. And
Dan, do you want to pick one of the things out of the activity and just highlight it?
sure.
If there's one in there that,
The winter weather safety talk, you asked us to, or the board asked us to emphasize safety talks, and that was certainly one talk that was highlighted, and I think it, even though the winter weather was a bit of a bust, we did prepare for it quite well. And we've done quite a bit in the way of organizing some meetings with our refuse people and also with collections people about some of the safety training related to the dump truck and the proper operation of the tailgate to minimize injuries and also property damage. So I think that's a highlight right there.
Great. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for the support.
Is there any, Dan, don't leave yet. Any questions on anything? I appreciate the thoroughness. It
You bet. My pleasure.
was a great report. Thanks, Dan.
You bet.
Okay, do we need to discuss, can we move to have you, if there's any highlights on the Long Beach?
I would just mention that litigation is now in, the complaints and answers have been filed, and we're now in the discovery stage, which I would expect, considering how long that project dragged out, that there will be, 1,000 pages of documentation and emails and texts that'll have to be exchanged, so it'll probably be an extensive period of time.
Okay, all right, thanks, Jim. Hey, Scott.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
About the district.
Oh, well, we'll find out. Okay, I'll start by reading the cash balances real quick. The operating fund had $646,113.20. Municipal account had $4,400.53. The improvement fund had $1,120,696.47. The vehicle replacement fund had $224,464.04. The equipment replacement fund had $775,754 even, and the operating grant fund had no balance, for a total at that Horizon account of $2,771,428.24. The Indian Springs project had $4,763.01, and the Whippoorwill project had $296.52, for a total of $5,059.53. The reason it's the same as last month is we still need to make the entry to move the cash for March. So I'll do that, so it'll be both March and April this week, hopefully. The debt reserve, SRF debt reserve account had $510,966.85. The SRF bond and interest account had $93,118.15, for a total in that account of $604,085. Stormwater fund had $661,481.40. The refuse municipal account had $1,464.01. And again, that's like a clearing account for the payroll. The refuse account had $1,055,339.68. The special revenue fund had $4,828.90. The levy excess had $8,522.14, and the tax levy grant fund had $4,324.78. Rainy day fund, there was no balance, for a total in that bank account at Horizon of $1,735,960.91. For a total before the Carwick remediation fund was $5,116,533.68. The Carwick remediation account had a balance of $217,965.08, for total cash balances of $334,498.76. And really, it's not a whole lot of changes from last month, and most of them are the typical monthly transfers that are part of the budget. So, and just one last thing on Indian Springs and Whippoorwill. The SRF did call me, and I talked to him about it. But the one balance, the Indian Springs project, that loan balance is probably going to get paid off this year. And that was the bigger of the two. And then we can talk about what we want to do with the Whippoorwill project, because there will be like $40,000 left that we owe. And we might consider just paying it off, and then collecting it from the customers ourselves.
Yeah.
So it would just save, on admin and stuff, and then we would just send out the statements, because they get it as part of their bill.
Okay.
So it's something to consider. I'm not saying we need to do that right away, but and that's really it, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions, guys? Okay.
Okay. The operating fund, I put in the budget performance reports for the operating fund, refuse, and stormwater, and they're all tracking close to a quarter, a quarter of the year total. So there's not really a whole lot to say about any of these. They're all kind of in line with what we budgeted. The only thing is, we will be making the insurance payment, and so that'll hit next month. We haven't made that payment yet. So that's operating refuse again. It's tracking right along kind of the budget. And stormwater, there wasn't really a whole lot of activity in the stormwater fund. We really haven't done many projects, big projects. So there's really not a whole lot to say about stormwater yet. So, but I'll answer any questions on any of them. And then the last thing I have, and it's not on the agenda, they had the closing meeting for the audit today. I don't know, did you attend? And we didn't have to attend because there were no findings. But the report's going to come out later. Now that they still have field work to finish, so there's still a possibility they might find something. But I guess the meeting went well for us. So, but like I said, it's not done, and they don't. What I was told today is the report's probably going to come out in June. So, but there's really not many details to discuss until then.
Okay.
So, and that's really about all I have tonight.
Well, thanks. Scott. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all your great work.
Thank you.
I'm sure that reflects you didn't have any issues.
Well, so I have plenty of issues.
Well, we're not discussing those at the meeting.
They just don't show up in the audit.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. Steve, update on the projects? In a suit coat today. That looks pretty good.
It's an old sport jacket. Reporter, right?
Mike, did you have that letter from the IDEM regarding?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a copy of it. I'm curious to say something about that before I get started.
Okay, I wanted to share with the board and the audience that on March 17th, we received a letter from the Indiana Department of Environmental Management recognizing that the City of Michigan City has completed all projects included in their approved combined sewer overflow long-term control plan implementation schedule. This covers a period from January 2017 through 2022, and it has to do with no untreated CSO discharges below the 10-year per 1 hour design storm. There was one incident of a CSO discharge, even though it is a permitted outfall, in February of 2018, where unusual circumstances, the IDEM determined that the CSO discharge was due to precipitation events which exceeded the design criteria of the approved long-term control plan, level of control, antecedent moisture conditions, as well as 15 inches of snow melt. Therefore, IDEM requires no further long-term control plan action from Michigan City at this time. I might add that during that event, of course, Michael Cuss was here, and collectively, everyone pulled together, and we were actually treating for a certain period of time in excess of our maximum design capacity of 15 million gallons. We were actually processing in the range of 20 million gallons for a period of time. And with the storm basins, I think we greatly reduced the total volume of water that actually left the storm basins and permitted outfall 002.
My recollection, Mike, that it was about 7 million gallons for the whole period, which is equal to 1 day's average discharge.
Correct, and if you consider the fact that during that period of time we were treating 20 million gallons, anyway, we're proud of that and all the resources that were brought to bear, and giving credit to my predecessor on marshaling the forces to accomplish that.
Well, you too.
Thank you.
Everyone at the sanitary district, like
True,
you said,
true.
pitched in, and
Yes.
greatly appreciate all the hard work that you guys did during that event.
Thank you. Should I address a couple other things before we start?
If you would.
Okay, just to mention, since we're talking about the quality of water, I wanted to bring to everyone's attention that we are in the disinfection chlorination season, which began April 1st. So we are disinfecting and also neutralizing the chlorine residual prior to discharge, which we're required to have below detection limit values. That's going well. Our average bacteria count or E. coli is one colony per 100. The threshold is 235, so we're pretty much maximum treatment. Also, just to mention that the organic strength removal measured by BOD was at 97.8 for March, 99% removal of suspended solids, 99.7 removal of ammonia, and 90% removal of phosphorus. All treatment beyond the required levels of our permit.
Mike, regarding the disinfection,
Pardon?
regarding disinfection, I think
Yes.
Mr. Woodruff deserves a shout out for getting our pipe work replaced as efficiently as they did.
That's all good. True. That was all done as part of the renovation of our feed system. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Yeah, great.
Also wanted to mention that I'm happy to say that the days of the virus being behind us, excuse me, we were able to bring back the W.G. Jackson. This is from past, but basically it'll be the same flyer, different dates. While we don't have the conference on the environment, we will have at least 3 days of the W.G. Jackson being moored at the marina here in Michigan City. That's going to be on June 20th, Tuesday, Wednesday 21st, and Thursday the 22nd. We'll have specific information out and get it out to the media and also on our website. Where technically the age limit for children is 10 years of age in order to travel onto the open waters of Lake Michigan. But this is all also in recognition or to complement the celebration of Coastal Awareness Month. It's a great opportunity for people to come out and get exposed to a little bit of science, get a free ride in on the boat in the lake, and we hope that everyone can come. And we'll make an effort to reach out to some of the schools and see if, I know kids are going to be out of school for the most part, but there might be some summer programs. So we're encouraging everyone to come out.
That's great. That's great.
So that's the gist of it. Mr. Staff.
All right, Mr. Mlavik. Regarding the project updates, item A, 9A, I don't have anything new to report. Item 9B, I can briefly report that I reviewed the new consultant's updated phase 1 and requested an edit to make the language match the rule, the all corporate inquiry rule. That should be done rather quickly. Item C is the White Ditch Maintenance Project. You have in your packet a copy of a blank certificate of final completion. While this is what I had put in the packet, I've got a copy that's signed by the contractor and by Mr. Gorsica. And I would like to ask the boards to accept this certificate of final completion on this project.
Can I get a motion to, or is there any questions about the project? Seeing that there's none, can I get a motion to approve the final certificate for the ditch cleaning of White Ditch?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. Bless you.
Second item on the White Ditch project would be HRP's request for payment number 1604-5, the amount of $18,974.10.
Can I get a motion for approval of the invoice number 1604-5 for $18,974.10 to HRP?
So moved.
Second? Wow. You two down at the end there, you're jumping it.
I'm just gonna let him fight over that.
I know. Tim, you want a second?
It's already been done.
Oh, okay. All in favor? Okay.
On the filter building control system update, just an email from the contractor explaining when that they would be here. They came on Tuesday, April 25th, as stated. Care to say anything about how the outcome of that particular visit?
I thought it went very well. They spent quite a bit of time assessing the situation, establishing a plan. So we're expecting, based on comments from Mr. Paxson, for work to begin in the early part of May. And once it does commence, anticipate no longer than a week in order to troubleshoot everything, make sure everything's within a week's time, they'll be complete.
Okay.
They'll be finished.
Okay. Any questions? Okay.
John, you care to render a brief update on the 421 sewer project?
Sure. John Gorsica, construction engineer for the Sanitary District. To supplement my March report about the US 24 Sanitary Sewer Extension Project. During the month of April and as of today, NIPSCO power pole installation is the major controlling operation. Power poles at the intersection of US 421 and 300 North and along the north side of 300 North. In front of Bozak's car dealership continue to be placed. Minor controlling operations, water, Michigan City Water has completed placing water taps on 950 West, fire hydrants on 300 North, and water testing on 300 North. Restoration, another minor controlling operation. D&M has completed placing driveway culverts and compacted base aggregate on County Road 950 West and is ready for asphalt placement at any time. Restoration work has been completed in the front yards along 300 North. We had a progress meeting on April 6th. Various scheduling and timeline perimeters are discussed, including the paving of 950. Limits to the gravity sewer line on the west side of US 421 and 300 North were changed to waste because of waste management issues. The sanitary sewer will end 200 feet west of the A&R gas pipeline. The last house to be serviced by the sanitary sewer would be 10,166, 300 North. Electrical work on the lift station may start next week, and May 7th is a date for the completion of all the work east of US 421. That's all I have. Any questions?
That's it. Any questions? John, thank you for your report.
Next item is the repair of the sanitary sewer in the 1100 block of Earl Road. I'm happy to report that that project was successfully completed on April 21st. It was a one-day project. If the board is willing to entertain a certificate of substantial completion and a certificate of final completion, I would like to ask you to entertain it.
Steve, do we get videotapes of these linings when they're complete?
Yes, these things are videotaped before and after.
Right, to find the laterals and things. I just wondered if we get those as part of the contract.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. In fact, Tony and John were on site pretty much the whole time, right?
No.
Tony was, I think, wasn't he?
Tony was.
Yeah. Tony was really the project manager on this. I thought he did a fantastic job.
Was it redevelopment going to pay for some of this?
Yeah, this is that project that the Community Development Block Grant Program pledged to pay for. But I have the certificate of substantial completion signed by the contractor and engineer Gorsica. I'd like to request a motion that be accepted.
Can I get a motion to approve the repair of the sanitary sewer at 1100 block of Earl Road? And we don't have it in our packet.
We don't have a substantial completion, sir.
No.
You don't. All I have is a original.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm
going to pass it along.
But you got John's Hancock, no, I'm good with it.
No, yeah.
Look at that.
Oh dear. I did have a bunch of copies of that.
Well, you don't have to sign it. It's whole mine you have to sign.
Yeah, no, that's why you're.
Motion to approve. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved, motion is approved for the sanitary sewer at 1100 block of Earl Road.
My apologies, I did actually have plenty of copies for everybody on that.
That's okay, Steve. We appreciate it. So do we have to do the
Final completion.
And
final completion?
I'd like to request approval to accept the certificate of final completion.
Thank you. Just gotta get faster. Any questions, guys? Can I ask for a motion to approve the final completion of the lining of 1100 block of Earl Road project?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Approved.
And the last item I have is an invoice number 1272 from Scuda Construction, Inc. The amount of $41,450, which is exactly equal to the contract price.
So,
I'd like to request approval to pay this invoice.
thank you. Can I get a motion to approve invoice 1272 from Scuda Construction, Inc. for $41,450?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved to pay invoice 1272 from Scuda Construction.
Okay, on the laboratory accreditation, I've got an update. There's a document in your packet. It's a print off from the A2LA web portal that shows how the first 17 out of 18 deficiencies have already been satisfactorily resolved. We're still doing a little bit of work on number 18, which has to do with development of an estimate of measurement uncertainty associated with our E. coli test method. And A2LA has extended our accreditation certificate while we're resolving number 18 to May 31st. I expect that we'll have that resolved fairly shortly.
What happens after May 31st? You have to go through it all again?
After we resolve number 18, Commissioner, it'll be extended for a 2-year period, if I'm not mistaken.
Thanks, Steve. So, Steve, let me ask you a question about this. We talked about, when we were up in the lab, on the assessment process. Am I speaking correctly here that we had mentioned something about that this accreditation process is a very lengthy process that you have to go through, and that, you know, there's maybe other avenues less lengthy to take on a similar accreditation, or am I wrong on that?
No, I had previously advocated working with the IDEM program.
Okay.
And this was a huge amount of work. Sue probably had 100 hours in it. I had 50 at least.
Do you know the IDEM program, Tim?
I do not.
It's not IDEM's Laboratory Excellence Award Program.
So what's the difference? Can you explain to the board what the difference is between the two accreditations? And I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't.
Sure.
That's okay. I just, I just wanted, to see if they are interested in further discussion with Sue and you about maybe doing the other program or not. I just, I want to make sure that we're doing the best we can, but,
Right.
Maybe there's another avenue here that.
Well, I think it's fair to say that the IDEM program is tailored pretty specifically to the state of Indiana's preferences and requirements, whereas the A2LA is a global accrediting body to a very specific standard.
What's the cost difference?
The Indiana program doesn't cost us anything. Our direct cost from A2LA for our renewal fee and the assessment itself was $8,900.
What I'm more concerned about is the time element that you guys are putting into this, because I know that, you know, you're talking about Sue having 100 hours and you having 50 hours. I mean, you know, that's a lot of time for the sanitary district to be putting in on this if you're getting apples to apples. Or
What I would like to say about this A2LA process and this international standard is that it has really resulted in us having a really an airtight quality control program for our laboratory. And I would expect that we would continue all of those kinds of things, whether we stay accredited for a fee or not.
okay. I don't know if there's any discussion on this. I just wanted you guys to be educated on, you know, that I hope you and I had that discussion with Sue when we were up there, that I know that it's a fairly lengthy process for the lab to go through in trying to get this accreditation. So
It's actually 2.5 days of field work by the assessor in the laboratory.
How's that compared to what you'd need to do with the IDEM process?
They would come and spend somewhat less than a full day with us.
I don't know. So have we,
Certainly something to consider. Finish for this year, you gotta do this again next year.
you know,
There'll be what's called what's the right word? It'll be a very limited assessment next year. It'll really be documents and bills on our part. Nobody will come here.
okay, and when does that process start?
It's going to be about a year from now.
So really, say next January, we start a discussion on this, whether we want to, which way we want to go on this? I mean, is that fair to say with you guys? I mean,
That would be appreciated.
okay. So,
Can I ask?
yeah, please do.
Besides just what you've accomplished with getting that par, what's the accreditation for? Who are you accredited with? Do you get any kind of benefit of being accredited insurance-wise, or?
Insurance, I'm going to say no. In the eyes of an IDEM inspector, they don't understand what it is, what it means, and don't give it really any weight. It was really a
They don't
problem.
give the ATLA any additional weight. You have to be accredited for IDEM to accept the results of your sampling and testing. It can be the accreditation from IDEM,
I know, right.
but, you know, you do have to have
Accreditation. It's good for 3 years, but is there a yearly fee for that each year?
I don't recall, Commissioner. I will find out for us.
I think when it's all said and done, and I don't have the figures here either, but when you consider all the other things that are required for A2LA, it's substantially more than this. The other thing that I'd like to mention is that the A2LA, my understanding is that it's principally for commercial laboratories that have clients, and it's something that's a standard in that industry. But I believe we're the only laboratory, municipal laboratory in the state of Indiana that has this accreditation.
There's only 12 laboratories A2LA accredited in the state of Indiana, and none of them is, except for us, is a municipal wastewater lab.
Do we do any testing for anybody else other than ourselves?
We do the E. coli testing that's paid for by a grant that the park department receives, so we're doing that for the parks department
Still
directly.
in municipal testing.
So I think as Steve said, that since these procedures and methodology has been established, I believe we would continue with that, even if we weren't participating with the A2LA directly.
And I believe after the conversation with Sue, I think the same thing, that, you know, she said that to me, that, you know, it's just the paperwork is so litigious, you know, so time consuming and voluminous, yeah. So I just, you know, I mean, that's the only thing I wanted the board to talk about, and maybe, Steve, if you can please put this in your calendar, and, you know, we can talk to Sue again about it too, and just see, you know, recommendations from you guys and Mike
Yes, sir.
you know, where we go with this, because I mean, if it really doesn't make an additional, Chris, like you said, on the insurance and some of the other things, you know, we want us to be accredited, and if IDEM is giving us an accreditation that says in depth or, you know, but less paperwork, I mean, and less costly to the district, you know, maybe that's something we should take a look at.
Just seems like a slam dunk at this point, based on our
Yeah, it
current,
seems reasonable to
Yeah.
revisit it definitely from January.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Steve, thanks.
Invoice. That invoice has actually already been paid. That's for informational purposes, Commissioner. Oh, okay, the next item is a laboratory building structural evaluation. And we have a couple of items here. A proposal from West Janey. Timothy Crow, the professional engineer, and an FAPT. I'm not sure what that stands for. I went through this proposal in some detail, and I'm not entirely convinced that it's going to move the ball much further down the field from where the DLZ already moved it.
Yeah.
And I've attempted to clarify this with Miss Janey, and I attached this. Also, give you this supplemental follow-up communication that I've had with them.
So, the one thing I did see, I think it was different, at least I don't remember from DLZ, was item 6 in their scope of services to develop drawings with detailed specs for repairs.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't remember DLZ doing that. That was one of my concerns with what DLZ had.
I'm gonna tell you, Commissioner, I'm trying to cover so many bases all at once. It's a challenge for me. You know, Attorney Meyer, you asked about this idea of testing, laboratory testing on the grout. Wes sort of proposed that at my suggestion after I mentioned that it, you know, possibly the masonry contractor used an accelerant in the grout or something due to weather timing constraints. You know, if it's laced with chloride, if we put new rebar in there, it may re-corrode.
Yeah, I saw that in here as I was reading it last night. I didn't see that as something that was really necessary. I mean, if we can keep the wall dry, which it wasn't, we're not going to have the issue with corrosion of the steel. So, and I just, going up there and looking at it, the way the coping was coming over the top and the way the roof membrane came down and having that gap between, I think that's part of our problem. And this addresses that by bringing the coping all the way down over the roof and the parapet wall.
And really, at this point, they're in the supplemental, the engineer had illustrated locations where we could remove some coping and facing for his inspection before he developed design and specifications. Tim, I really appreciate your reviewing this proposal as I had requested, and considering that they're going to have drawings and specifications for a repair, I'm starting to think maybe this proposal is not a bad deal for us.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for contractors to bid on something they can see as opposed to going and looking at something and saying, okay, well, we'll find out what it is once I start getting into it. So I think I liked everything except I wasn't sure about why we were testing the grout. But it's nice to have that information. I mean, if there was something, that could be something else that may impact us in the future. So, you know, little ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure kind of thing. So.
Especially if we want this building to withstand.
Right, and I want to move ahead with this so we don't come up still not done next fall when we start getting freezing temperatures again.
It is a bit of an emergency
Right.
type situation.
I guess in that case, I would like to ask the board's approval to prepare and enter into a professional services agreement with Voice Janey.
That's 22,000.
Yes.
Yeah, and,
Design drawings and bid specs.
you know, from the commission standpoint, I asked Tim to look into it and work with you on it. And so I guess from my point of view, if Tim feels this is something that we need to move ahead with, then I would definitely recommend to the board and ask for approval of the WIS Janey proposal.
So moved, and I appreciate Tim's efforts to,
Yeah.
as his engineer background.
Yeah.
Just a point of clarification, the comments you have on here are things that they will include in their final document. You have engineer's estimate of probable repair costs. I didn't see that in there. The rest of it, I mean, that's usually what anyone will do when they're developing plans and specs, is come up with an estimate. That was one of the issues I have with DLZ too.
I will ask them, I will be included in their scope of service and the PSA.
If that's the case, then I'm all for it, moving ahead with West Janey.
So can I ask one other question? When you go back to West Janey, are you going to, your notes in here, are you going to ask them to incorporate those into the proposal?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve, for putting those notes in there too.
Yes, yep.
As far as someone signing this thing,
I'm not doing it.
Mike or Steve can do this, right? It's like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think it's fine. I mean, just, you know, once you get the approval from us, let's just move ahead, because I agree with these guys. You know, we don't want our lab technician sitting up there
Right.
when it's cold and everything else, and possibly something else happening.
Right.
So this is an emergency. Let's get it done. Let's move ahead as quickly as we can on it, as, you know, to get it done.
I'll second Chris's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve, very much.
Okay. And thank you, Tim.
Appreciate that.
Aside from Haas and Associates continues their work on the Carroll Avenue Sewer Extension Project, I have nothing more to report there. Item J is just a request for bids that were issued that resulted in the bids received for the digester clean project. That's informational. Item K was the tractor replacement. We did go ahead and close on that particular tractor that we discussed at the last meeting. Convinced the seller to take $5,000 off of it, and that tractor is now in our possession. Is in the process of being titled and plated. And it's not
Is that Josh who did that?
Josh, and mainly Josh, yes.
So 62,500?
Yeah, that was the purchase price.
Great.
And it's not a minute too soon because we have a mountain of tires at the Hitchcock facility to get over to Illinois.
Okay.
Okay. The 431 Washington Street lateral tap replacement project. I don't believe I have anything in your packet on that, but that project in both regards has been completed. The outside work, which was the lateral tap, and then the interior plumbing that was also grouted. J&B Excavating did the outside work, and H&G Plumbing did the inside work, and done. J&B didn't bring their invoice until this afternoon, so I didn't have time to get it in the packets. On the Carwick Nature Park, I don't have a certificate of final completion or request for the payment yet. We have the request for the payment in our possession. We've had it for some time. With the substantial work that was done to replant some of the vegetation last fall, I'd like to advise the commissioners that Weaver Consultants is under contract to come out in May and take a look at the status of the vegetation. And if things look good, we'll come back and ask for acceptance of the certificate of final and the payment of the retainage. Okay. Next item on the agenda was this transfer agreement for the Market Mall sewer. I'm gonna withhold any request for any action on that particular item at this meeting. The next item, which I am gonna ask action on, is this 300 property sewer easement and transfer agreement. I've got a little bit of a handout on that one for you. The agreement has the
Highway 212?
yes, this is on Highway 212. This is just supplemental information that helps you understand the setting and what this sewer does and when it was built.
Thanks, Steve.
And those kinds of things. What we're dealing with in this situation is somewhat like the Marquette Mall, but different in other respects. It's privately owned 12-inch VCP sewer connected to our collection system. It serves separate buildings owned and occupied by two separate industrial customers. The owner of a third party has begun construction on a third industrial concern and wishes to connect to the private sewer as well. All listed properties are located within Michigan City. Maps illustrating the location and configuration of the system and the geographic relationship of the properties that are attached. These segments of sewer. This is our sewer here. This is this private sewer that was constructed to a John Doyle design circa 2008. The Sanitary District video inspected the sewer manholes in April of this year and found them to be in like new condition. At his own expense, the owner of the private sewer has obtained a survey defining a suitable easement, and Attorney Meyer prepared a corresponding transfer agreement to facilitate the continued operation and development of the subject industrial campus consistent with state statutes and municipal codes. It is my recommendation that the Sanitary District accept the easement, the transfer of ownership of the sewer as a valuable addition to our collection system.
The two facilities that are feeding into this now, do they have a joint agreement for maintenance and ownership of this sewer now, and how are we billing them direct? Because they have water bill, right?
We are billing them direct.
Okay. So how would that be any different with a third property tying in?
Won't be any different. Each of the property owners pay their own sewer
It
bill.
won't be, but it doesn't meet statute because
Right. You're not supposed to have more than your ordinance, and typically I didn't write,
Okay.
requires separate lateral for
So
each building.
basically, each property should have its own connection to our main sewer if it's not ours.
Correct. And
Okay.
if you have a private sewer with too many connections, I then requires you to have a permit for operating a public sewer.
Okay.
So you can, now just two.
That's all I wanted to know was what the benefit to us is, and the benefit is we're falling within statutory requirements by
Right.
making that a public sewer. Okay. All right.
Plus you control
Right.
And it is
who gets to
it's
tap
a
in.
genuinely valuable addition to our collection system at no cost to us.
All right. I'm sold.
So the 300 property, is it connected at this point?
Yeah, there's two sewers tying in now, and then the future one is the dash line coming out to where the new building's gonna be back here. So this one's connected, and then it'll be tied in on the dash line into that manhole too,
Yes,
at the end of the new sewer.
right.
Okay. All right, so, can I get an approval for the sanitary sewer transfer and easement agreement for 300 property with the owner, correct?
They are the owners.
Yeah.
300 properties.
300 properties, the owner. I should have, not a question mark, I should have said the owner.
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved.
I have a copy of the agreement, an original copy signed by the grantee. For, this will be the ones that you will can sign. Those are the originals for signatures.
Oh, can we go back just a minute? Or some of the last item, just something that I wanted to see if we get clarified before we actually go through. The exhibit that was attached to that 300,
Yes.
the font on the survey, correct, there's no way any of us can read that. I tried to even zoom in, and so if we could get Hendricks to give us a clearer copy on the final document.
The legal description is the next page.
I know it was in there, but it's also on this drawing that you can't read.
Exhibit A. Right, but it's,
So if they can increase the font on the final drawing, that would be great. Just a request from an engineer who'd like to see things you can read.
I think I have a copy landscape.
When they pull it out years from now, none of us are here, and they go, what did those guys do?
Yeah, because you try to zoom in on the PDF and it is unreadable.
that's why I have
That's a
that
copy and it's
the
fine.
large, you know,
My rule of thumb always was if you're gonna have an 11 by 17, make sure the letters are at least 1/10 of an inch tall so someone like me can read it. And that was back when I was in my 30s. Thank you.
I resemble that remark.
Yeah, yeah, so do I.
Next item is informational. Our farmer land applied for sludge in the month of March, 131.4 dry tons. The report was completed and submitted to the IDEM on a timely basis. If you do flip through this, you can see where I certify it in about 7 different places, and the farmer and land applier has the one page they signed to certify. That our sludge met all the requirements for the use as Class B sludge. And the farmers also have sludge in April. So there'll be another report for April. I can quit putting these in the board packet if you don't really want to be seeing them.
No, they're good.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
I love keeping a pile full of sludge, don't you?
Can I get back to the market wall?
I do it just for you, Tim.
Another question.
This table, yeah.
Okay, that's what we
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not doing it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that's tabled.
We'll
I'm
get
sorry.
as much as you want for the tree board.
All right.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
I got
Item Q is, no, we just did that one. Item R is the new garbage truck. I just included a copy of the invoice for that particular truck. It's a 20-yard rear loader, clean diesel. I would like to have it here to show you guys, but it's, in use all day.
That's important.
Good.
I'd rather have it there.
The refuse department was happy with it, by the way.
Great.
And we got ARPA funds for that,
Yeah.
Right.
so I am gonna submit this to the box.
Okay.
Item S was W.G. Jackson. Mr. Mladovic covered that very well. Nothing to add. I suppose the report that I would pick out to sort of highlight for this month would be the laboratory departments. First quarter report, Manager Sue, she has also provided information relevant to the renewal assessment. There's all the detail you might want.
Grizzly detail.
The nature
Indeed.
resolution of the deficiencies found by that particular auditor.
Well, please tell her we appreciate it.
I will make a point of it.
Thank you.
concludes my piece.
Thanks, Steve.
Steve, thank you very much.
Really appreciate it. Great job.
I can actually read these down.
All right. Mr. Meyer.
I don't really have anything specific to add. I'm working with Steve on that Market Mall sewer transfer situation, and then we're also, at this point, monitoring several of those requests for connections that the city council has to approve from the Long Beach area, including the country club. As those go through, you can process them with typical sewer use agreement and connections.
So I have one question for you. Are you going to be involved in if this proposed resolution goes through the city council on the providing additional grant money for the laterals? And this may be something offline, so tell me if I'm going off base here.
I was called by the sponsor, I think it was called, I can't remember for sure, a couple weeks.
I just want to make sure that the mechanism, who puts in the mechanism in place for the grants and all that stuff, because it seems like there's a lot of additional work that's going to be put in on these. Is that
No,
city or is it us?
it's neither.
Okay,
If and when this gets established, the homeowners themselves will have to apply for the money.
okay,
And the money only covers the homeowner's share of the cost, it does not cover the district's share.
right.
So, there won't really be anything in addition.
So we won't have anything with that, it'll be approved through the city and
Correct. And
Oh,
the
good.
city, the way it's set up right now.
that's why I'm asking, because I read it and I'm kind of like, okay, I want to make sure
Right.
what's going on here.
Right now, the city would be doing,
Okay,
but only at the request of the customer.
great. All right. Okay,
I mean, obviously, we'll have to share documents
right,
if we get the quote,
Right.
that type of stuff,
Yeah.
but nothing
okay,
extraordinary.
okay, great. All right, thank you.
Sure.
All right, approval and allow revenue and tax levy claims for payment. Can I get a motion, please? Motion approved. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Any old business? Any old business? Any old business? Any new business?
New business, I don't know that it's really new business, just a question to our attorney, something that I've been kind of trying to discuss and figure out with NDOT and submittals that we get, and I noticed it here. Section 865 of the Indiana Administrative Code 1-7-2 talks about application of professional seals for design drawings submitted to government agencies. I noticed in this, there is no signature or seal by the surveyor on this document that is supposed to be a legal document for us. It needs to be submitted to us as a signed sealed document, I think, part of the statute. Indiana Code 25-21.52D3, and I'll give you those things in an email or something tomorrow so you can look at it. It kind of indicates the same thing. And our office, down at central office, since I deal with permits here, we get a lot of drawings that are on napkins and stuff and not really engineered drawings, and I don't think legally NDOT should be accepting that based on these statutes that I see. And I think that works the same for municipalities. Any government agency within the state of Indiana, and we are a government agency, is supposed to have signed and sealed drawings submitted to us by these statutes I see. So if you could tell me otherwise, I don't need the answer from you now, just
Right.
just to look at it.
No,
See what's,
it's always a good idea to have it sealed. I can't remember what.
yeah, so I don't know if Tony Hendricks is doing this for,
Right.
but it should, I think anything, the same with the Marquette Mall one, I don't think that had a surveyor's seal and
That's
signature
one
on
of
it
the
yet.
things that's holding up the
So,
process.
anyway, just one thing I wanted to throw out there. If I'm being weird and petty about it, or if it's just something that legally we should have. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's a little different because it's attached as an exhibit to a legal document.
right,
And it's not intended to be used for
standalone, right.
standalone or for construction or anything like that. But it's, you know,
It's still a drawing that's being submitted to a government agency by a licensed professional. We should put their signature and seal on it. Okay, thank you.
So, Jim, can you let me know when you decide the amount? Because before I record it. You know, because I take these things over to get recorded.
yeah, tell Tony that you need to put a stamp on there.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean,
I'd increase the font at the same time.
yeah, but I guess,
Say, since you were gonna increase the font.
Right.
I guess if
Just
staff,
stamp and seal. He's got the seal. He's a licensed surveyor, so.
Right.
but I guess if, you know, staff, I mean, let's just go ahead and make that a, you know, part of what we.
It typically is. It's rare that you get something from either a surveyor or an engineer.
I was surprised when I saw that in the document
Okay.
PDF last night. It's like, why didn't Tony just sign and seal that?
All right. Thank you. Any other new business? If not, I'm gonna ask for adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, motion to approve adjournment?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We stand adjourned, and we'll see you guys at our next regular meeting, May 24th, 2023, if there's nothing else. Thank you, guys. Dan?